Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. Much like the Borg, we are Arsenal. With me tonight, it's only cheeky chops Gav. All right, Gav?
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Oh, not as good as you, Strutter. How you been?
Yeah, no, really good, mate. Thank you.
Good.
Really, really good.
Nice to have you back in your dulcet tones and not on the Wi-Fi, finally.
It's always a pleasure to be invited, Dan. You know that, mate.
Oh, bless your socks. And I would say finally, but not finally. It's it's the man, the myth, the legend, the originator of the Arsenal blog. It's only Goonaholic, right, Dave?
I wish I was the originator of the Arsenal blog, but there you go.
Go with it. Say you invented Arsenal blogging.
Yeah,
Take the credit.
I have to say, the man who did was the inspiration for me and helped me along the way as well. So thank you, Mr. Arseblog.
I was going to say, is that Andrew? But you've been doing it a decade now, haven't you?
Yeah, it's for 11 years this year.
So where can people go to read your wise words?
www.goonaholic.com.
And also, if you're buying anything on Amazon, go on his account and then click on the little Amazon thing and go, and then he gets 0.0001% of any transactions. And every time I buy anything, I send Dave a quick screenshot of anything I've bought. It's John can't do that because all the love toys that John would be buying, it would get quite embarrassing all around. Right, I'm going to quickly move on from there.
Yeah, I would do. Painting a nasty image.
Oh, yeah, that's John for you. Right, so last night we had the Leicester Cohen visitors. We beat them 3-1. So I'll start with you, David. What did you think about the game?
It was most definitely a game of two halves, or maybe a third and 2/3, because we started out bearing in mind as well that we were down to bare bones in defence and had Stefan Lichtsteiner in left back. So that might have been an explanation why we started once again rather more slowly than we would have played later on. We were finding it difficult to get out of the back, and that first half an hour I thought Leicester were, I have to say, impressive, athletic at the game, at the races, playing some lovely football as well, and they were definitely worth the goal lead that eventually came their way. Thereafter, that seemed to just spark Arsenal into producing the sort of performance that, well, it's probably the second one this season, isn't it, that we're suddenly blowing sides away from a position of we weren't in the game at all, which is, I suppose, a pleasing habit to get into. You want to be finishing games strongly. You want to be scoring goals, and my goodness me, haven't we got a couple of goal scorers now? But I also like the fact that Unai Emery was decisive when he made his substitutions, and bringing on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had such an impact in the second half, because we'd got ourselves into a position where we were playing some superb football, but it wasn't poor old Alex Lacazette's night for once. The guy who's been scoring so many goals for us. He had a couple of really good chances and got neither of them. So that was the only downside of the night for me. But I know he'll come back this weekend and he'll score again. So overall, you have to be happy with what happened. For Arsenal to beat that side 3-1 when they had started so well, I thought was a good positive response.
Very true. Gav, what's your initial thoughts on the game before we go into individual segments of the game?
Yeah, I mean, much the same, really. David always puts things so well. But I was just extremely happy with the response, firstly, to going one down. It just kind of shot them up another level. We started knocking the ball about faster. I was happy with the fact that even when we was under the cosh, they were still trying to do a lot of one-touch play, which was nice to see. And you can see where Emery's sort of going with that, really. And like I say, just the response. And then when we come out, we got the goal. It's a lovely goal, obviously, our first goal. They all were yesterday. But it was just the manner in which we came out for the second half. We came out and we just blew them away. And it was probably, again, after the second half versus Fulham, again, it was just 45 minutes of just watching lovely football and watching us completely dominate a team that up until then played really, really well. So it's just hats off, really. I think must have been one hell of a half-time team talk. A slight change in tactics when he done the double sub as well. Just hands down, I thought the manager played an absolute blinder. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. Like, moving into the actual game itself, we covered a little bit about the lineups. Just before half time, just before Ozil scored in the 45th minute, David, what was your thoughts just before he scored? What was your frame of mind for the game and how it was going? Because you said earlier that it was a game of 3/3, and that this would be beginning of probably the second third. Are you muted?
I've done it again, haven't I?
Hey!
I'm a star. I didn't even know I'd muted myself.
For the boys and girls at home, if you had David at 6 minutes to be muted, you've won £20 million.
Ka-ching!
Excellent. Well done. Ah, dear. Right, yeah. So I'd already started the answer, and I was saying in 44 minutes passed by and we were 1-0 down. Yeah. I was actually thinking that was a bit of a result because I thought we could have easily been 2 or 3 behind. We had Leno to thank for a number of good saves. We got away with, I think it was a penalty when Rob Holding had the handball, even though he was at the same time had an arm across his shoulder from, was it Iheanacho? I can't remember. But I'd have taken 1-0 down at half time. And when Mesut got that goal, it was... everybody in Swindon would have heard me, I think, because it was just so unexpected. I went up like a rocket. So that's how I felt at half time.
I was sitting by my new fireplace thing. I just stopped what I was doing, and I won't do it now. I just started applauding and going, "We've got our Mesut back." That was absolutely magnificent. Gav, how did you celebrate that Mesut goal?
I think it was telling the kids to shut up so I can listen to the football, to be honest with you, because the kids were still up and running about at that point. But I gave out a bit of a hearty yell, to be fair. I was a bit of a... I don't think... We didn't deserve it. We didn't deserve to go in 1-1. Let's be honest about it. And as Dave rightly said, we got away with that penalty. He's... As much as they were tangling and as much as you have to sometimes put your arms up to jump, and if someone's got their arm under you, then your arm's going to stay up. But, I don't know why the ref didn't give it. He had a perfect view of it. So we got away with that one. Again, as Dave said, Leno scored, saved two good saves. Do you know what I mean? He done 2 good saves in the first half as well. And, when Ozil put it in, and I was even, like I say, talking to my mates before the game, and I said, look, I know exactly how this is going to go. We're going to struggle first half. It'll probably be a 50-50 first half, and then we'll blow them away in the second half. And it was kind of exactly how it was, really. But, yeah, I thought Ozil took that perfectly, his first goal. I thought he took it absolutely perfectly.
Dave, Gav was just saying that Leno has made some really, really important diving. He's got the reaction time of a flea. That muscle reflex, or whatever, however Dom puts it. Do you think that he has that advantage over Cech? Because I think sometimes that's the things that have let Cech down in recent years or recent seasons, where he hasn't had that blinking of an eye reflex dive down to the corners. Is that something that you think is making Leno the better goalkeeper for situations like that?
In recent seasons, I think you've got a point about Cech. He was, up until the summer, seemed to be in decline. But you can tell from the work that the man's done over the pre-season and the shape he's got himself into and the way he was playing, distribution aside, before the injury, I would put them on a par as shot stoppers this season, because I think Cech has come back to his best again.
Well, they train together, don't they? So they may be learning off each. Well, Leno is definitely learning from Cech, but we did struggle at the beginning of the season, didn't we? You said you can't teach, or I said you can't teach an old dog new tricks with playing out from defence, but Cech proved me wrong.
Well, he's working on it. He's clearly working on it, but there's no doubt that Leno has the edge over him there. And you looked at him last night, he doesn't panic. he finds someone, he makes himself available for it to come back, as it did often last night, because in that first half hour when Leicester were dominant, they were not only high pressing the entire back four, but when the two Granit Xhaka and Lucas Torreira came back to try and present themselves to receive the ball, then they were being pressed as well. So there's no out ball so often. And Leno just kept himself to himself and kept calm. And when he had to whack it, he whacked it. And that's what Cech had become good at as well before he got injured. So there's very little between them.
Yes, agree. I just saw a tweet earlier. I don't know who it was by, so I can't credit them, but it was a graphic, and it said goals and assists by substitutions in the Premier League this season. Arsenal with 9, the Chavs with 7, Everton 5, Leicester 4. Gav, what sort of impact did you expect when Aubameyang was coming on, and how much did you shout at the kids once he got those 2 goals so quickly?
Oh, I managed to do the bedtime story at half time. Yeah, no, I done the bedtime story at half time, mate, and so I had a bit of peace and quiet.
Because he came on in the 61st minute, scored in the 63rd and the 66th, in case you weren't sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest with you, when he made the double, it was a double sub, wasn't it, then? And Xhaka went to left back.
Yes.
So I was still sort of working out whether we was playing 3 at the back or whether Xhaka was going into left back and what sort of formation we was going on, and then bang, we scored, and it was just it was inspirational. And when you've got a player like that sitting on your bench, and you're getting to the final third of a game, and with his pace, he's going to do damage. He's going to do damage to players straight away. I mean, I think what we could end up seeing is, for the rest of the season, if he's on the bench, the minute he comes on, you can really see opposition managers putting on somebody to mark him straight away. You can really see, giving the opposition managers something to think about, because with his pace coming on, he's going to get in the right spot, and he's got that sort of pace. Really shouldn't be sitting on the bench, but when it does come on, he's just lethal, isn't he? He's absolutely lethal. He knows where to be.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. David, would you say that him being on the bench was anything to do with the fact that this run of so many games in such a short length of time? And was it a little bit cruel to bring on a bloke who is the fastest human on the planet against a Leicester team that looked like they were flagging a little bit, struggling with the 3 at the back, and then he scored the first goal in 63, 64 and 65. They both picked up yellow cards, and 66, Mesut set up that magnificent goal.
Yeah, you've got to say that I was listening to someone in another WhatsApp group this morning, and they were discussing why we're not getting off to a quick start in the first half. And someone made a very valid point that every side we come up against for the first half hour is going to be pressing us, because people have seen that that's a way to get at us. But that is a way of tiring you out as well. And so if you do bring on someone with his pace as you're getting more and more knackered, then it's going to get a result. But I think we've got a question coming up later about whether we should keep him on the bench, or rather, can we find a way of starting he and Lacazette, bearing in mind, of course, at the moment Iwobi is on fire. So let's leave that question till it props up.
Okay, Gav, we were trying to figure, brought up this thing that I went and watched the video that is on Twitter. Everyone's doing the 30-second goal video, and the third goal went Leno holding Xhaka, Torreira, Ozil, Guendouzi, Bellerin, Lacazette, Ozil, and Aubameyang. That's 9 different players in the build-up. Only Mustafi and Iwobi didn't touch it. Then what did you say to that?
I think if you look at it for a couple of seconds before Mustafi passes the ball back to Leno, and then so you could count that as being 10. And then if you look at the movement that Iwobi makes throughout the whole of the movement from the back to the front,
is there?
I would say his contribution is up there with anybody else that passed the ball sideways. Yeah, because he done a 50-yard run as well. And when the ball went out to the right, even before that, he was pulling them apart. He was pulling the centre back over. He was pulling their left back over. So, to me, if we can clarify that Mustafi passed the ball back to Leno to start it off, then that's to me, I'm counting that as all 11 players had a say in that goal. I'm definitely counting it. Do you know what I mean? I'm counting that as a complete team goal.
Yeah.
Dave, one hell of a goal, wasn't it?
It was Jason asked the question last night on the radio, the ABW Live. I forget we've rebranded, and he was asking what was better, that goal or the goal against Fulham. Now I said, although the goal against Fulham was a magnificent team attack with lots of players touching the ball, I think a few of those were like a waiter walking down the stairs holding a couple of big plates and slips, and he's juggling the plates as he's falling down the stairs and manages not to drop anything. I think a few of the ones against Fulham, they just managed to hold on to the ball and backheel it and do all these things. But last night's goal, every single pass and every single player knew what they were doing, and that was for me the most complete goal we might see this season or in a long time. Do you think it was a more of a complete team goal than the Fulham one?
It's a subjective view, and it's not something. I don't think the two goals I could separate, because I can still see clearly in my mind's eye that Fulham one. It's really special. Last night, again, they're the moments that you go for, or that in the case of last night, you wait to watch on the television. It just breathtaking football, and you throw it in the mix of one against Norwich in 2013. We've had one or two since then, but by and large, we haven't produced that tempo of football for a long, long time. It's great to watch.
And I reckon if any, and we all know the media haters because we're Arsenal, but if any other team in the Premier, if like a Chelsea or Liverpool, or in fact, if a Liverpool would have scored that goal, they'd have just shut the league down and given them it because of the Man City, because that is how you're not going to see another team this season have 10.5 players touch the ball, and Ozil being in the middle of it and at the end of it, and the way he did that step, who did the step over at the end? I think when Bellerin crossed it, I think Ozil did the step over, didn't he? And left it, and then it went out to Lacazette, who put it to Ozil, and then Ozil put it left to Aubameyang to tap in. Well, just thinking about it, you could watch that goal. I mean, like, when we were trying to figure out, when I was counting this, I've watched that goal 11 times today. That was just in a row trying to go.
Is that all?
Wow.
Is that all?
I know,
what kind of Arsenal supporter are you if you've only watched that 11 times, mate? I think I watched it 11 times before I went to bed last night, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about never giving up, Dave, what do you think of Lacazette's performance last night? He missed 2 or 3 open chances, but at no point did he do a Gallas, which was really important. And the other players, even when he missed, other players were coming up to him and patting him on the back and they're going, come on, we can still do this. It's still so much team togetherness, though. It reminds me a little bit like the bosom of ABW. They all seem to be great mates.
Yeah, his contribution last night, I thought, other than the fact that he didn't take the chances that were presented to him, and let's be fair, one of them, Schmeichel, made an outstanding save because he was only about a couple of yards out. Quite how he had time to adjust himself to stop that, I don't know, but although he was unlucky with his chances, I thought his all-round game, you looked at his movement, you looked at him making himself available for people to find him. He brought others into the game, as you say, like with the ball to Ozil in that third goal. I got a ton of time for the bloke. I think he's one of the best players we've had here in quite a while, and I think we're so lucky to have him and Aubameyang at the same time. If you'd have said that 2 years ago, people would have thought you were mad. But no, it's a pleasure to watch, and long may it continue.
Jolly good. Right, Gav, what was your thoughts on seeing Xhaka at left back? Is he the emergency left back that we need?
Let's be honest. He was playing left back because we have completely run out of fit defenders. And the older Swiss fella, he's not completely up to the pace, is he? Really, let's be honest. He's not up to the pace of Bellerin and Monreal. And you could see that's where we were sort of missing a little bit. We were missing a little bit down the left. It was just an emergency kind of role, really. I can't see him playing there ever again. But to be honest with you, it kind of almost done us a favour because he done the role as a left back, and really we needed a bit of fresh blood and a bit more movement in the middle. So it was an absolutely inspired substitution. Whether or not they've been prepped him for it, or whether or not he's been training for it, which I very much doubt, but it was completely inspiring. I couldn't. I don't think anyone realised or knew that was what was going to happen. Really, do you know what I mean? So, but it worked. It worked.
I thought we were going to go to 3 at the back.
Yeah, I did. And it worked, and it worked bloody well. So it's again another big tick in the Emery box, another huge tick.
David, what's your thoughts on partly Liechtenstein, partly Stefan playing at left? You've already told me once how to say it. Partly Stefan playing at left back, and then him coming off, and Xhaka going there. What have you got to say about all of that?
I've got a feeling probably that he's only played, he hasn't started a league game, has he? So he's not played too many times this season. No. I think he may be required on Thursday. And so last night it probably made sense to bring him off because he was probably blowing a bit harder after an hour. And for Xhaka to go there was the logical thing because Xhaka has a left foot. And by the way, I saw Liechtenstein take some stick last night. But I thought it was a little bit unfair because if you had a look in the first half, he does get forward quite a bit and he was equally adept with right and left foot. So he's a good choice to go there under the circumstances. But yeah, he wouldn't be a first choice. Xhaka showed again a bit of that he can be a utility player, that he has value to the side. So that's another string to his bow and another reason perhaps to persist with him.
Yeah, just looking at Stefan's this season, he's played the full 90 minutes in the Europa League twice. He played 55 minutes at left back against City first game of the season, which is when I noticed, he's got a left foot. I thought he was only right-footed, but no, it's the years of skill. And then he played 61 minutes last night, and he played the full 90 minutes at right back against Brentford in the League Cup. So, yeah, I think we will see him there. What's your thoughts on Kolasinac as a left back? Because I'm sure that when Wenger bought him on a free transfer from Schalke in Germany, that's when we were dabbling with 3 at the back, and then we needed a left wing back, and Bellerin can play right wing back. But it doesn't seem that Emery really likes the 3 at the back. I think we've only done it once this season, so it looks like. Do you think that Kolasinac can fit into the squad? Because he's not a proper left back, is he?
He hasn't played as well as a left back this season. I thought last season he did a pretty good job under either system when he was required to. But yeah, we looked more comfortable when Nacho was playing as the third centre-back and Kolasinac was doing a good job down the left-hand side in both halves of the field. Thought when he played at the start of this season, there was something missing there, and all players go through a little patch of form like that. Nacho got his place back, and we all know how reliable he is. But yeah, Kolasinac, I'm torn a bit about him, in all honesty. And like you say, I can't see us going to a back 3 to accommodate him where he's played his best performances for us.
Gav, what's your thoughts on that? Because I'm just looking here, the only game that he's played the full 90 minutes this season was Karabag, and he played at left midfield. And I think he had, was it Monreal playing behind him at left back?
Yeah.
As we got him on a free, do you think he's got a future at the club? Because it looks like he's a bit of a square peg when we've only got round holes.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Firstly, look, we've got 3 players that can play left back, and last night we end up with Xhaka as the left back. Obviously with Ainsley Maitland-Niles coming back from injury, so I don't think he's going to be a long term. I really don't. I'm not sure that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is again going to be a long term left back either. And
no, central midfield.
Yeah, and Monreal is far and above all of them, really. So it's an odd one, really, but I think that Kolasinac probably better going forwards than he is defending. So if Emery, because obviously we're still getting used to how Emery wants to set a team up and how he wants to play. And if Emery's playing much in the role of early Wenger years, when we had Adams and Keown and Petit and Vieira sitting in front of them, and then Dixon and Winterburn doing literally what the hell they like, because you know Vieira and Petit are going to cover them. Petit slots back nicely and left or the right hand side. If that's how he wants to set it up with sort of like literally like a box 4, then that would be a system that Kolasinac is going to probably fit in very, very well on. But who knows? I think it's still early days. I think, you know, literally, I think there's literally half a dozen to probably 10 players that we're going to see this year that are really fighting for their place and fighting to not be sold in the summer, to be honest with you. I think there's a few of them that have really got to try and prove themselves, and he's definitely one of those.
Oh, that's a brilliant segue to the next point that we want to talk about. Players that have been fighting for their lives, because you find me an Arsenal fan who wanted Iwobi, who thought Iwobi had a future at Arsenal at the end of last season. I think they'd been a very, very short... Was it you?
Oh, I'm here.
Well, see, the next point we're talking about, Iwobi, what a turnaround in his career. Now, I was getting annoyed all the time because you could see, much like Ozil, Iwobi has so much talent, but he never lasted the full 90 minutes. And I think he might be that old football phrase of a confidence player, but because I see him, he's one of us. He's a London boy and been at Arsenal all of his career. And you really want those kind of players to do well, like a Theo and the Ox and all those other ones of that generation of players coming through. So, David, tell us about how you felt about him at the end of last season. How has he managed to turn his career around where even Steve isn't moaning about him?
Well, you could see there was a footballer there, and it wasn't just when he played for Arsenal. You can see in his early performances for Nigeria, he had a place by right in international football. And was it Argentina he scored the winner against? And he had an absolute blinder that night. So there was a player there. You make the point quite rightly that he very often used to blow out after about an hour, 65 minutes, and always had to be brought off. I think this summer of working extremely hard under Unai Emery has got his fitness levels up to where it needs to be, and that's why we're seeing the result now, in that the guy has the confidence to go out and just do his thing, and his thing is almost, you'd call it freestyle. I mean, that nutmeg last night was absolutely fantastic, and I'm enjoying watching the guy play. I think we're going to mention him again later on when we talk about Pierre-Emerick or Aubameyang, so I'll stop there.
And just before anybody writes me a letter to complain that I said he's a London boy, I do know he's born in Nigeria, and I do know that Walcott and the Ox came from Southampton, but they still, for me, spent a bulk of their youth career at Arsenal, and for me, they're Arsenal London boys. And much like the old days of the early George Graham days, where they had all the youth players coming through, I love to see that, and that's magnificent. Gav, what's your thoughts on Iwobi, and how did you feel at the end of last season, and how do you feel now about him?
I thought he was drifting. I thought he was really sort of drifting, and he really was on the edge of either going one way or the other. He really was, and I feel that the summer has done him good, and he's just come back, and it's almost like he's fulfilling his early potential. So I think one of his first couple of games, he put in a couple of good performances, but again, even for his age, his body's still filling out. He's turning that little bit of bulk. You can see he's definitely stronger. He's definitely more confident, and his work rate is still there. He's still tracking back, and he's honestly, I mean, I can see why he got man of the match quite easily yesterday.
Some people said he did get man of the match, but according to WhoScored.com, he only got a 7.4, and Ozil got man of the match of a 9. So I think it depends on where you read it, doesn't it? Because everyone has their own version, so none of official. Yeah,
no, and it was even on my on the fantasy league games that we all do, the official one. Aubameyang got top bonus points instead of Ozil. So it's all on how they actually work out using their stats, and you can't beat your gut feeling. And
it was magnificent.
Throughout the 90 minutes. I mean, let's be honest. Ozil had a spell, a 20-minute spell where he tore them a new one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And only Ozil could have done that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I mean that's up with what Henry used to do. That's up with what Bergkamp used to do. Do you know what I mean?
Dominated it.
he completely tore them a new one. But if you're looking for the performance throughout the whole of the 90 minutes,
consistency, and he was down the left, he was down the right. Like I say, I think consistently, and even like I say, up until we scored, he was probably one of our better players. And he continued with that when the other players were coming on around him, and he was still running towards the end of the game. So I mean, his fitness, his strength, and he's got the confidence now, whether that's through the national team, whether that's through Emery, or whether it's a mixture of both. But like I say, at the moment, he's probably one of the reasons why Aubameyang's sitting on the bench. To be fair, he's keeping out that sort of quality. Do you know what I mean? With his performances and his ability to swap sides as well, like he did last night.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I say, if he was having a stinker, he would have had to have brought on. Thingy, the old Man United fella on, and touch him on the right. Welbeck. Do you know what I mean? So that would have wasted another substitution. So yeah, like for me, I thought he was absolutely outstanding throughout the whole of the game yesterday, and who knows what it's down to, but let's hope he keeps it up. I'd love him to keep it up for the whole season. I mean, he deserves it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. He's put in the time and the effort, and I think he's become a more fit player. But that's not anything I know about. I just want to mention that on the bench we had Smith Rowe and Cech. Oh, begins with a Z. I can't remember. Medley and Cech. There you go. I may have got it right. Those two were on the. That's the first time they've been involved in a Premier League game. And Martinez as well. Our young, he's about 27, 26 now. Argentinian goalkeeper. Yeah, so it's good to see those players getting through to the
both London
first
boys
team
as well, Dan.
Yes, that's it. More wonderful under 20, but Kwame Ampadu's gone now, hasn't he? So that's a bit of a shame. He's gone to Monaco with LTL. Dave, anything you'd like to say about the match before we move on to talking about Ozil in general?
No, I don't think so. Other than big sort of mention about the general atmosphere around the home games these days. Thought last night it didn't even look as though they were going to get stick if it had gone in at 1-0 down. There was a lot of encouragement for them. I thought the crowd were excellent again, and it's a pleasure after last season.
I take it you were there?
No, I wasn't there last night. I can't do midweek games at the moment because I've got no holiday left.
Swines! If only they knew that you have to go. We'll have to go.
They're all bloody midweek as well.
Oh. At least you get something interesting to do on a Sunday afternoon now, though.
Yeah.
I used to like Sunday games. Right, so the next point we're going to move on to is just generally talking about Mesut Ozil. I've put Ozil, is he back? He has started. He started 4 of our last 5 Premier League games, and in those 4 goals, four goals in them 4 games, he's got 3 goals, 1 assist, and was made captain last night. Gav, what's your thoughts on Ozil and how he's turning it around and seems to have got the Ozil back that we had at times during the previous 5 years, but not the last 2 years?
Yeah, no, I think that him not going away with the international team's done him a favour. He's obviously clearly a player that likes a bit of a rest between games. I don't think he had that good a first half, but then again, I don't think many of them did, even though obviously he made up with it with that superb goal at the end of it. And like I say, really, I'm just reiterating what I said earlier. I mean, in a spell, he absolutely blew them away. Absolutely blew them away. I mean, that was a world-class performance that he put in. And unfortunately, with a player like him, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a period where you're looking at the pitch and thinking, is he even on there? And then bang, in a 10 or 15 minute spell, he's blown them away and you've got 2-3 goals. And that's unfortunately the price we're going to have to pay. If you've got to accept the fact that he's going to go missing every now and then, and he's going to not look on the pitch, and then he's going to pull off something that nobody in this country is going to actually pull off. So I'm well happy for him. I think giving him the captain's armband was a very, very smart move by Emery. He was almost saying, look, you're loved here. You're one of my main men. Get on the pitch and show me. Do you know what I mean? I think it was almost Emery begging him to take the game by the scruff of its neck. And when he does, like I say, we saw what happens. So I'm very happy. I can only see, like I say, with as long as he's played right, he's going to have these games up north where we don't fancy it, and he sits at home for the weekend and stuff like that. We're going to have to put up with that, but it's just one of those. I mean, you're never going to get a full 90 minutes of Ozil blowing a team away, and if by fluke that ever happened, we're going to win 10-0. Do you know what I mean?
But don't you think that you said there about that not playing games up north? I think Emery made a point in bringing him all the way to Azerbaijan and then making him play the game a kind of you'll play when I want you to play. You're not having an easy run of it anymore. Or did I read into that something that wasn't there?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
It was a meaningless game for him to play, and he didn't need him.
I think Emery's sort of put his stall out with regards to the Europa League and said, I'm going to more or less play, I'm going to play as many first teamers as I fancy until we've won the group. I think he's definitely put his stall out on that one. He's laid a marker down to the whole of the team and the whole of the squad when it comes to that. So I wouldn't sort of look into that too much. But like I say, it almost seems like Ozil wants to play for him, and there's a certain amount of cuddling and caressing going on that perhaps we're not seeing. But if that means we're getting the best out of Ozil, then keep going for it. Do you know what I mean? Keep it up.
David, your thoughts on all of that lot, and do you think it was a tactic by Emery to bring Ozil off with 10 minutes to go just so he could get that ovation on his own rather than playing the full 90?
Yeah, there's no question, and that was what was in his mind. And it hints at, Gav was talking about Emery getting the best out of Ozil and how they must have a good relationship. I'm told they haven't, so that's to the contrary. And so it's interesting that he does seem to, maybe by antagonising him, he's bringing the best out of him. And it's a combination too, probably, of the fact that he's had the falling out that he's had with the German national side and a number of personalities, particularly from Bayern Munich, who have really come out with some awful stuff about him. So on the whole, I think there's a kind of different motivation thing going on there, as well as a desire by Ozil to show people back in Germany what he's all about. And I hope that lasts, because, you were talking about him going out to Azerbaijan. Never mind Azerbaijan. This was the first season he'd gone to Newcastle. So it's really an odd one. And I do try to be careful about what I say about Ozil when he's absent, because it's usually described as an illness. And I wonder if it might not be something else going on and he's facing demons at times. Who knows? But
we don't really know, do we?
No, but it's great to see him back and playing at his best for periods of games. Now, if he can do it as well against our fellow top 6 clubs, then that will be the final thing that says, okay, this guy is worth the money we're paying him.
Yeah, I've been an extremely harsh critic of him over the last few seasons for the same reason as Iwobi, because he's got everything. He just needs to be loved, and I think the amount of love that the Arsenal, I don't like to say the word community, it makes it sound like a load of hippies, but the Arsenal community gave Ozil after what happened with Germany after the World Cup and happened with the stuff that you're saying, like the Bayern Munich upper echelons and other German players and the German media, and so then he came back to us with his tail between his legs, and we showed him nothing but love. He's been made the captain. He's getting a standing ovation. He's having great games, and this is maybe what he needed all along. So, because like you were saying before, we never know what it is, and there is a suspicion that with mental health being a massive thing at the moment, it could even be something like that. And with all the positive stuff he's getting at the club, that could well be helping him get over it and letting the real Mesut, will the real Mesut please stand up? And he's definitely standing up, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely,
okay.
mate.
Right, we're going to move on to Leno or Cech. Oh, also, before we finish on Ozil, Chris, the dirty pirate, said, is he still nicking a living? No. No, he's definitely not. Do you think he's nicking a living, or should we just ignore Chris's question? Because it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, because he's a cheeky pirate.
He is.
Yes. Okay. Right. Moving on to Leno or Cech. Just a quick bit on this. Some people have asked about this, but Cech has played the 7 games this or 6.5 games this season because he went off injured in one of those. And of those of his 7 games, the last 2 were clean sheets. He kept half a clean sheet. And Leno, I keep going to say Jay Leno. This is driving me nuts. Leno's played 6 games this season. Again, only one of them as a half, and he's had 2 clean sheets, half of which he shared with Cech, and then one in the I think it was in the Europa League. So I think the question is, someone's actually sent the question in because we've had bugger all questions from you listeners. Here we go. S.A. Agboye, who was in the chat last night asking if he could swear, said, when Cech returns from injury, should he return to the League 11 or should we stick with Leno? So Gav, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm keeping Leno. It's probably no secret I've never been a big fan of Cech, even though he's probably playing some. He's probably been the best he has for us in a few games this season. I'm Leno all the way. I don't think there's a fag paper between the pair of them. So all day long, I'm playing the younger man. He's the future, really. I mean, I can't see Cech being with us next year, but. Like I say, it's keepers. Keepers are a confidence thing. If Leno has a drop, then by all means chuck Cech in. But until then, if Leno keeps the performances up at the moment, I can't see a way back for Cech, and I certainly wouldn't want him just to be gifted the spot unless Leno as a howler.
But would you say that's all competitions? Like before, it was Cech in the Premier League and Leno for everything else.
Well, yeah,
are you swapping those 2 round?
Yeah, I mean. Definitely. I mean, they've got their games that are targeted for the first choice and for the second choice keepers. But I mean, keepers aren't necessarily going to knacker themselves out. It's not like a central midfielder. Do you know what I mean,
running for 90 minutes.
I mean, let's be honest. Half the time that Seaman or bloody Lenz was in goal for us, I could have bloody played in goal. Do you know what I mean? They done bugger all for them, mate. That's stealing a living.
They used to take a flask of Bovril and a newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? I mean that if anyone was called nicking a living, that was nicking a living when you're sitting behind them back fours. Do you know what I mean? Not these days. I mean, but yeah, no. I mean, the games that they're classing for the second string keeper. I mean, yeah, perhaps put Cech in there to help him get his fitness back, to help him get sharp. Perhaps even play one of the third choice keepers in them. Do you know what I mean? But the future's Leno, and until he makes a howler or 2, you've got to stick with him. Got to stick with him how it is right now. Do you know what I mean? He's been patient, and I think he's been very, very professional the way he's come in. He's come in on decent money for a keeper. You haven't heard anything out of him apart from work hard. And he's worked hard. He got his break due to an injury, and for me, he's kept the shirt. He's earned the shirt. Let him keep it.
What's your thoughts on that, David? You might well be muted. I'll pretend you're not.
No, of course I'm not. I was just considering if I could say anything different to Gav, but I don't know that I can. I think that the guy who's in possession, as long as he's playing well enough, gets to keep the number 1 slot for the Premier League and for the bigger games in the cup competitions. And at the moment, Leno is, courtesy of the injury to Cech, he's now the man in possession. And the shirt doesn't go back until he either gets injured himself or he has a couple of bad games. I think one, you would want to pick him again the following game, for the sake of his confidence. But if it's 2 in a row, then yeah, back in comes Cech until he gets injured again or has a couple of howlers.
You know what is good though? The competition we've got for places.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, albeit the the severe. I mean, no one's really mentioning the severe injuries we've got, in our defences, in our defence at the moment. But the competition we've got in places all over the pitch at the moment. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you've got Aubameyang on the bench, mate. Do you know what I mean? We're going to have Cech on the bench.
And Ramsey on the bench.
Who? But yeah, no, apart from that. Sorry, Jace.
Yeah, so just looking at Leno's career, as we know, he's 26 years old, 6'3", 6 caps for Germany, just made it back into the Germany squad. I don't think he played. And then he signed for Bayer Leverkusen in the summer of 2011 and then went straight in as the number one keeper, and then had 7 seasons as their number one keeper. And I think people have had a look back at Bayer Leverkusen last season and gone, oh, that he was rubbish, they were rubbish. Everybody was rubbish at Leverkusen last season. It was all the seasons before that where they were making it into the Champions League playoff positions from memory. It's a little bit like people were looking back and going, Socrates was rubbish at Dortmund last season. Again, everybody was rubbish at Dortmund last season, apart from Aubameyang, and then he decided to come and join us. So, yeah, I'm really happy about that. One of you's just put something in there. Oh, yes, Gav's had to go for another wee. Right, so next thing we're going to... Oh, no, he's back again. The next thing we're going to talk about is the 10...
It went away.
Wasn't it? Sneeze.
No, the blinking batteries of me vape died, so I had to go and get a new... I had to charge up my vape batteries.
You and Jock on the... Do you watch Jock and all his recommendations? He's on the Iron Brew vape at the moment. He loves it.
On the what?
Jock. Go and follow Jock on Instagram. Jock
Iron Brew.
Instagram. Iron Brew. He's got Iron Brew vape at the moment.
Has he?
Yeah, oh God, he does all the flavours. And he rates them.
I'm a black currant, mate. Black currant.
Oh, I can't stand berries.
Black currant, watermelon, and I think I'm on cherry cola at the moment, which is quite nice.
Oh, there you go. Lovely. Yeah. Okay, well, now we're going to move on to the 10-game run. It's our best... there's a little bit of controversy that I've made up myself here. Our best run since 2013-14, but one of those games in that 10-game winning run, we won on penalties. So I don't know if you include that or not. But other than that, 2003-4, the invincible season, that was our best run in that season, was 10 games unbeaten. 10 straight wins, not unbeaten. Got to get that right. And then, so just looking at those 10 games, at least Aubameyang scored 8 goals, didn't play every game. Lacazette 5, Ozil 4, Welbeck 4, and then Monreal, Mustafi, Xhaka, Ramsey, Papi, Smith Rowe, Guendouzi, and 2 own goals. David, doesn't that show what a great team it is if you're getting those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different players scoring goals? For me, that's always a sign of a good team where you're not relying. I remember in the old days when if Henry didn't play, we didn't really score that much at times. I know we had others that did score, but when times were hard, and we didn't have Perez and Ljungberg and all those and Bergkamp, we relied a little bit too much on Henry to score all the goals, much like with Ian Wright in his time. So do you agree that it's a really good sign of a really good team that everybody's scoring goals? And what do you think about the 10 wins in a row?
Absolutely chuffed, because everybody, well, not everybody, it's a common saying that we've beaten teams that we should have beaten. But I think Gav said before we came on air, when you look back at this time last season, we'd already lost to Liverpool, Watford and Stoke.
You nicked my stat, Dave. You nicked my
shamelessly.
One good stat I had lined up.
Absolutely shamelessly. But yeah. So by comparison, beating 10 you can only beat what's put in front of you. The fixture list has worked out kindly to us. We've taken full advantage of it, which is really impressive. We're coming up to a few weeks where we're playing the likes of Liverpool and the Middlesex Nomads. That's when they're going to know if we're going to have a season. I'd love it if we did turn over both of those. It would shut a few people up and stop people who are saying at the moment, even though we're only 2 points off the top 2 teams, we're not a contender. We bloody well are, at the moment. Let Liverpool and the Nomads prove differently.
You wanna nick that next time you do and write something on your stuff, Gav. Is it the Tottenham Nomads?
Middlesex Nomads.
That's it, the Middlesex Nomads. Just give you a little bit of comparison here. This time last season, we played 9 games as well. At the 9-game point last season, we'd won 5, drawn 1, lost 3. And we were 9 points behind the leaders. Now we've played 9, won 7, lost 2, and we're only 2 points behind the leaders. We're the best run of form in 15 years, ish, give or take.
I think 2007 we won 12 in a row. Probably not the start of the season.
Yeah,
but I'm sure
we did.
I read that somewhere
In 2012, 07-08, we won 12 in a row. 99-2000, 12 in a row, and 97-98, we won 12 in a row, but one of those was a penalty shootout. And then we won 13 in a row during the end of 2001 too, but 2 of those games were from 02-03, but one of those was the Charity Shield. So all depends on what you call as an actual game. But either way, Gav, are you as excited as a newborn kitten?
Oh, it's like having the Arsenal back. It's absolutely lovely. And even though my learned colleague has stolen my superb stat line,
plagiarism,
but it's completely cut me down. And no, I couldn't be more happy. I'm really, really so excited. It's gone from, oh god, here we go again, to watching the game to I can't wait. And it felt like the last international break was about 3 weeks long. And you just want us to keep it up. And the new manager is doing an absolute blinding job. And you can hear it on the terraces. You can see it on Twitter. You can see it in your WhatsApp groups. Look, the actual everybody is excited. Everybody's excited over this. Do you know what I mean? Everybody is buying into it. And the fact that this time last year we're 9 points behind and even giving up the ghost of even mounting a serious challenge. Now we're 2 points behind the leaders. The Nomads, or as I like to call them, the Milton Keynes Spurs, right, are having their best ever start to a season, and we're above them on goal difference. Do you know what I mean? We're outscoring everybody more or less at the moment as well. I think we're probably the second or third, second highest goal scorers, and we're beating teams this year and we're winning games this year. Look, we would have lost or drawn last year.
And more often of late in style as well.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, the last 2 games have just been absolutely wonderful, haven't they? Absolutely wonderful. I mean, you're finishing the game. I mean, I tweeted it last night. I loved it so much last night, right, that I left the telly on and I listened to Souness and the other coin chucker, that Scouse coin chucker, right? I listened to them analysing it because I wanted to, right? And I'm sitting there and, when Bellerin come on, I'm, by then, complete silence in the house. I mean, no kids, no nothing, no noise. And I'm listening to every word that Bellerin says and I can't wait to hear what Emery's got to say afterwards. And just the excitement level and the expectation level has just completely rocketed. And it's just so nice. And, you can see why everyone at Fulham was singing We've Got Our Arsenal Back, because it just feels different. I mean, I've got mates that haven't been to games for 5 years and they're asking for tickets. Do you know what I mean? I've got people, mates that haven't been games without their kids for ages and they're all going games again. And I think it's just like a complete breath of fresh air. And it's just so nice. It's not just a change of a manager, it's a change of a style. And even though obviously we have got that ownership issue going on where we don't know what road that's going to completely go down next. But like I say, it just feels so good at the moment. It feels good. There's a bit of pride being back into being an Arsenal supporter. It's gone
confidence.
Like I say, I mean, you always, when we lose, you get a bit of stick from your mates who don't support Arsenal. But it's actually gone to the point now where you can walk out your house wearing an Arsenal shirt or an Arsenal t-shirt or an Arsenal polo shirt. And
where would you get those from, Gav, if you wanted to?
Well, you can get them from the Arsenal shop if you want to get ripped off. But do you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you haven't got to worry about the fella behind the bloody offie or the fella behind the news agents taking the mickey because Arsenal lost the weekend. Do you know what I mean? There's a bit of I think we've got our pride back. It almost feels like we've got our pride back, and the fact that we've been playing beautiful, lovely, attacking, free-flowing, one-touch football, it's lovely, mate. It's absolutely beeping lovely. I'm not gonna swear because we have a gentleman with us today. Do you know what I mean?
I've heard him say some right old rare stuff in the WhatsApp group. Turn the air blue
on occasion.
I bet, but
when you deserved it.
It's just nice though. It just feels like a fresh start. It really does. And
all through the club at almost every level.
Oh, we're seeing young kids come through. There's a centre back from London on the bench who's been with the club since he was God knows how old. Do you know what I mean? And
we nicked him from Chelsea.
Smith Rowe on the bench. Do you know what I mean? And it's just so nice. The young fella who's out in Germany, Nelson. What's he got now?
Reiss Nelson.
Is it 3 goals in 2 games or 3 goals in 4 games?
3 in 2.
3 in 2, yeah. And one of them he come off the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, the first one, and then the other one he only played 70 minutes. We're going to come to that later. I've got some lovely stats.
Oh, okay. I'll shut up. But yeah, no, it just feels like a complete fresh breath of fresh air, and I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
David, how long can this run continue? We've got Sporting Lisbon away tomorrow. They're no mugs, but they've had their issues with everybody. I think was it Sporting Lisbon? All the players decided they're going to quit. I think it was those.
Yes.
And then we've got Palace away, who can't buy a goal. They are just bang out of luck at the moment. Then we've got Blackpool at home in the League Cup. Blackpool aren't very good, but again, it will be a mainly second string and youth team going there. And then the big one, game 14. Liverpool at home. Oh, that'll set us going, won't it?
Well, as it's said as well, it's Liverpool at home on the Saturday. Then Thursday is Sporting Lisbon at home again. And then Wolves at home. You know what? I've got a little sneaky feeling about Wolves giving us more trouble than Liverpool. And I don't know why, and I know there's no logical reason for that. But Wolves are looking as though they might be the dark horses of the season.
Defensively, they're brilliant.
Yeah, and the fella it's basically half Portuguese players, isn't it? Including one they've half-inched for nothing off Sporting Lisbon.
The one that takes the free kicks is amazing as well.
Yeah, but if we get past Liverpool. If we can get past Wolves, if we can get past Tottenham, and we're into December and we're still very much in the shake-up, and I think we are capable of doing it. I don't think it's likely, but I think with this squad, I think it's possible.
And Gav, this run is coinciding with this by the Liverpool time. The likes of Koscielny and Kolasinac, Monreal should be back anyway. Cech will be back. So many of the players are going to be back. The team is going to be probably at full strength. So do you think this run can go on much longer? Because I don't want to make you cry, but the next international break is going to be on the 11th of November. And after that, we play Wolves on the 11th of November, and then there's a 14-day break until we play Bournemouth. And then the next one after that isn't until February, the 9th of February to the 23rd. That's another international break for this pointless, meaningless international nonsense. So how far do you think we can go? Because like what David was saying, we've got Sporting away, Palace away, then Blackpool, Liverpool, Sporting, Wolves all at home before the international break. So do you think this will stretch on much longer, or do you think by that time we'll be going games unbeaten rather than straight wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're due a draw, aren't we? We're due a game where we don't start off as well as we have been. And like I say, let's be honest, we haven't really started games particularly well. I think is a stat that I didn't tell Dave earlier.
Gav even WhatsApped me and said, I'm saving this for my bit of information. That's my own reminder. You stole it, Dave. Go on, Gav. Second time lucky.
Oh, Dave. Yeah, no, I think there's been 7 games this year where we've been drawing at half time and gone on to win the games.
I think that was in your blog this week, wasn't it, Dave?
I hope it was.
I've seen that stat as well, yeah.
Yeah,
can't remember where.
So, like I say, I mean, we are due a game where we're going to go a couple down instead of 1 down. Let's be honest. I mean, the way we've been starting, I'm really putting that down to when we still getting used to Premier League. there's teams that he's never played against before, teams that he probably hasn't seen a great deal of before. And the way he turns it around at half time, let's be honest. I mean, for 7 games drawing at half time, go on to win all 7 games. That's doing something. We're clearly a second half team, and there's something behind that. There's a reason behind that. Maybe it is we have got the greater fitness at the moment. But either way, I'm not knocking it. But we will come unstuck at that point. We're going to come unstuck at some stage. I do honestly think that we're capable of winning every game up to Liverpool. And I do honestly believe that if we can be within 1 goal of Liverpool at half time, we're going to turn them over. So
they're going for a bit of a drought at the moment, aren't they? They're not the most informed team. They're their front 3. They're the greatest 3 players that have ever lived. I mean, look, they've just beat Huddersfield 1-0, drew with Man City 0-0, lost to Napoli 1-0, drew with Chelsea 1-1, lost to Chelsea 2-1 in the League Cup. So they're off. I'm not scared. I don't think we should be scared of any team now. I mean, even the Chelsea game at the beginning of the season, there was long spells in that game where we had the better of it.
Absolutely.
Like I say, but them 2 games come too soon. So the Liverpool game's a test. It's a big test. We're perfectly capable of winning every game up till then. If we can get that little bit of luck, and if we can start a little bit faster earlier in games, and like I say, I think we're going to beat Liverpool. I'm really, really not scared. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, that could be a big, big game for us if we win that.
Make or break the first half of the season for us.
It's not going to. Like I say, it's not going to kill us if we lose. Let's be honest, it's not going to kill us. But
it would be more to them if they lose than it will if we lose.
Oh, it was.
He's 3 years into his rebuilding. We're 3 months.
Yeah, but like I say, exactly. I mean, let's be honest. We get top 4. We get a couple of good semi-final or final day outs this year. Yeah. We're all going to be happy, right? We're all going to be happy. But for Liverpool supporters, if they end up 2nd or 3rd this year and don't win anything, that's a disaster. They've got to start wondering what direction they're going in. Do you know what I mean? So, but like I say, I do think we're more than capable of beating Liverpool. I think we'll outscore them. I honestly do.
Good.
I agree.
Right. Shall we move on to our final topic?
Go on,
Good man.
Okay, right. Your thoughts on the season so far. Have they changed much? And what did you think about a top 4 at the end of last season? No, when Emery took over. And what were your thoughts about finishing top 4 now, David? Because you've been quite confident. Didn't you say we could finish 3rd?
I thought that was most likely. And the reason that it sticks in the memory is I had a bet at the start of the season on us each way, 28 to 1, I think we were.
What's this for, top 3?
Well, that's unfortunately, it's only the top 2. I was looking at it and thinking, I thought Manchester City obviously were a good bet to finish above us. And at the start of the season, I thought Chelsea were going to take some catching as well. Now looking at that, I think we're every bit as good as Chelsea and have a very good chance of finishing above them. So second depends on whether we can overtake Liverpool. So it would give quite a statement if we did beat them on, is it November the 2nd? Something like that.
Who's that? Yeah. Who we're playing?
Liverpool.
We're playing them on the 3rd of November.
3rd, yeah.
At 5:30. What day of the week is that? Oh, it's a Saturday.
Yeah.
That'd be a lovely Saturday afternoon for us all.
But I was confident. And I'm basing that mainly on the fact that we had signed both Aubameyang and Lacazette, and sooner or later he would have to find a reason to play them together. And I think that's coming up later as well, isn't it?
Yes, hopefully. Gav, what did you think? Before the season started, once Emery had been announced, and what do you think now about possible top 4?
I'll be honest with you. I thought that Tottenham would struggle this year. I thought that Man United would struggle this year. So I thought that it would be the 4th place would be a run between us and them 2. In looking how it's going, I think we've got it on top of both of those. I wish we was playing both of them very, very soon. I honestly do. But I think, look, I think Man City are gonna walk it. I don't think anybody's going to disagree that Man City should walk the league this year. But I do think we're going to give them a scare. I do think we'll give the Scousers and Chelsea a bit of a scare this year. So, depending on how it goes, depending on what happens in January, I mean, it only takes one or two players to get injured for any team, and it could really put you back. I mean, look at our Chiara's.
Good point.
As actually, he's actually cemented his place in the side, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It would only take him and Lacazette to get injured, and we could struggle some games. Do you know what I mean?
But even Welbeck's been looking pretty decent this season when he's had a chance.
Yeah,
but he's not on the same level as those, I know.
No, I mean, like I say, what was mentioned earlier with regards to the work rate of Lacazette, I think it was last night. It was about the 80th minute. And he dispossessed one of their players just outside our box.
Mm-hmm.
And he's our lone centre forward. He's our lone centre forward, and he's doing that, and he's still back down the other end of the pitch, and he's still looking for a goal. And he was desperately unlucky not to be on the score sheet as well yesterday. So, like I say, I mean, it's a must. We're almost getting like we're getting a spine to the side. We're getting Lacazette and Ozil behind him and Chiara. And, perhaps hopefully one of the defenders, not Koscielny, coming back from injury will come in and, Socrates may be the man, I think, who could completely show up our centre backs. And then we've got a spine to the team. So, but going back to the question, I know I've gone slightly off track.
You've gone full Carpenter there. Just
I've gone completely round in a circle, but I do think that third is possible. Fourth, I think is probably more likely because we are going to have up and down spells this year, but I think we're going to have one head of a season. I think it's going to really get bums on seats every game. I really do, and I'm really hoping for a couple of big semi-final / final away days as well this year.
Jolly good. I said top 4 pre-season, and I still say top 4, but possibly top 3.
Where in the top 4, Dan?
Yeah, I think we can get 4th or 3rd. But you can't, just going by everyone else, and the fact that Abramovich has already hired people to sell Chelsea, and then the first person who comes in there, if they're going to, never know, they might want to invest a fortune, or they might want to get rid of the likes of Hazard. So that's a club that's in a lot of turmoil.
Shake out a bum, wouldn't it?
It'll be somewhere. It'll be someone with a lot of money. I doubt it would be like the AC Milan owners, where they've come in and they're just going to asset strip it and then flog it to them. Oh, not asset strip it, that's the wrong word. Where they've only bought it to sell it. So I know Gazidis has gone there to help them with that. But it's going to be someone. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if it's someone from the Middle East with a lot of money. I know some multi-billionaire was thinking of trying to buy Man United, but they reckon it's going to cost $3 billion. Wow, that'd be amazing. Well, not for us, but just that amount of money.
On that sort, like I say, but let's hope that they buy one of them and don't buy Tottenham, because you know they're going to sell out as soon as they can.
They're going to go bankrupt any day now with their wonderful new stadium. Right, we're going to move on. A couple of birthdays. It's our very own Josh's birthday. He's up north with his pint of mild, his flat cap and his whippet, going around chatting up the lasses. So he's, can we say he's 28 today or not? I'm not sure. But when I was 28, Sean had only just been born. Oh, bless. Mm-hmm. And it was Mr. Arsene Wenger's 69th birthday yesterday. So happy birthday to him. And I think he's only on gardening leave until the new year, and then he can go and take a new job somewhere else in football, isn't it? Have I heard that right?
I don't know whether it is right, but I've heard it, yes.
I've read as well that he's ready to take over a team in January, but I don't think he's on gardening leave. I just think they gave him the 10 million and said, off you go.
I don't think any of us will ever find out.
And it's 10 million quid to do bugger all for 6 months.
Oh dear, he's nicking a living. Right, listeners' questions. Noir Confidential, probably in a darkened cinema somewhere watching a black and white French film. He says, Do you also see similarities between Aubameyang's finish for the first goal and Ozil's trademark finish, in brackets, kicking the ball into the ground, close brackets, or is it just me? Maybe he learned it from Mesut on the training ground. I didn't even know that as a Mesut thing, David. Have you any idea about that?
Oh yeah, Mesut, he's got a fair few goals for us like that, hasn't he? He sort of catches them on the volley, drills them into the deck and over. And that finish last night wasn't exactly the same. So good question, but not for me.
Gav, can you answer that in 3 words or less?
No, I can't.
Very good. Right. I've read Nicky Wilson. We've only had 2 people send us questions. You lot, I know we had 3 actually, because we had essays one. But Nicky Wilson has sent this, and I've read it 3 times, and it still doesn't make sense. So I'm just going to read it. From Nicky G. Wilson, who is probably arguing with his old man trying to get the ABW Live T-shirt back because his old man stole it. He says, it's my opinion that Arsene never really evolved from a first 11 into a squad manager. Oh, okay, yeah, it does make sense. Only really managed the first 11. That's why we had so many injuries. That bit I don't understand. So should we not be happy that Emery is rotating the squad if it's going to improve fitness, and not get upset if certain player is not starting? That does make sense, Gav. Yeah. What do you think to that?
I think it makes complete sense.
Yeah. Go on, explain it a little bit for the listeners.
Wenger was old and past it, and he should have left about 7 years before he did.
No, Jason's going to find out where you live and slap your legs.
He knows where I live because he sent me one of your lovely, lovely T-shirts.
Did he?
Yeah,
5 XLs. He said he didn't have any left.
No, I think it's a large. It was a tight fit because I've been stocking up on my rubies lately. Do you know what I mean? But
don't.
But it was Wenger played people to keep them happy, even if it meant playing them out of position. And I can give examples. Jason's lovely Aaron Ramsey when he used to play him at right midfield, or sometimes he'd play Ozil at left midfield, and then people would wonder why they're not tracking back and not covering when it's really something that they're just actually incapable of doing.
Didn't he start Bellerin at left back for one game?
He played bloody. Do you remember bloody Ox-Chamberlain? He played. I think in the space of 6 months, he played everywhere but in goal. Do you know what I mean? He was just playing people to keep them happy. The main problem with Wenger is if you're comparing Wenger's tenure at us with Fergie's tenure at Man United, Fergie rotated his number 2s. Phelan, the Wally with a brolly, the Portuguese fella.
Yes,
and he rotated them and he let them do the training. Let them McLaren. Yeah, that's Wally with a brolly.
Yeah.
And he evolved with them, and he was more of a manager and let the coaches coach and let the coaches sort of almost dictate the style of play and how players were playing. And he kept it fresh by changing the first team coaches. Whereas Wenger, his idea of a first team coach is somebody who places the cones out.
Oh,
no, it's true though.
It may well be. It is true, but David, you need to balance that out before we get letters of complaint.
Look, how can I do it to the man again? I've already nicked one of his stats. But no, you'll not be surprised to hear me say, no, I don't agree with the original point. And I think we're now building different arguments around something quite different. I think that there's no doubt that Arsene Wenger did rotate his squad. He used 2 completely different teams for Premier League, FA Cup, and whatever European tournament we were in. And League Cup, of course. So I don't think that was a cause of many injuries, other than in one instance. I do think he overused a young Jack Wilshere. Yeah. And the result is that's why Jack is now at West Ham, and he's not fit enough to play for them even. So yeah, that's the one valid criticism I would take of the man on that score. But no, there's no question he did rotate his sides. He did switch things around for different competitions. So I personally disagree with the point. But thanks for the question, Nicky.
He did switch around a little bit too much sometimes, though, didn't he?
And also Don would say that he brought people back from injury too quick as well, which is something he did change towards the end of his time there. But I think if he'd have retired after or left after the Chelsea final, we'd have looked back at his tenure with a better idea. Like someone with much better happiness. But someone tweeted the other day, I don't know who it was, so I can't credit you for this, but he said 10 wins in a row. I remember under Wenger we'd struggled to get one in a row. I thought that was hard.
Yeah.
But funny. And it seems the team yesterday knew it was Wenger's birthday because we had 69.1% possession. I think that's a bit of a secret nod to Wenger. Right, so we'll move on to the next question, which is again from Noir Confidential. He said if you need another, oh God, we've had 3 more interactions. Any of them? Nah, it's just people saying happy birthday to Josh. For God's sake. Noir Confidential, still in a cinema. Says, if you need some, this will go to you, David. If you need some more questions, here's another one. Reiss Nelson is playing more centrally in Germany than he did before. Where do you see him playing in the future? And do you think signing a new wide player would limit his opportunities? Now, a little bit of information about Reiss Nelson that I've dug up from the archives of the internet. He's right-footed. He can play right midfield, right wing, or he can play, like I was saying, in the central or occasionally on the left. He's 19 in December. In the international break, he came off the bench against Andorra, got an assist as the England under-21s beat Andorra 7-0. And then the more recently in the international break, he scored a magnificent free kick for the England under-21s. They beat Scotland 2-0.
That was a screamer.
Yeah, and as Gav was saying earlier, he scored 2 goals for Hoffenheim at the weekend. He played 70 minutes, came off after the 2 goals. I'm playing right wing according to Transfer Market, and the game before that, he came on with 30 minutes to go and scored 1 goal from left wing. But just because it says left wing, that doesn't mean he played left wing. And I was going to go and have a quick look and see if he's came on tonight for Hoffenheim, that after 50 minutes drawing 1-1 with Lyon. And no, he hasn't. So, David, where do you see his future? And will it hamper his future if we do sign a new winger, which is something we've been touted as doing in the media quite a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he's probably got the frame to be a top centre forward. I think he's sort of really feeling more, when he's central there, he's more of what the hipsters called a false 9. But he has got quite an appreciable talent. He's a huge prospect. I do think if he ends up at Arsenal, and that's a big if, his position will be out wide. If we sign somebody else, does that set him back in the pecking order? Well, it depends who you sign, and it depends how well he develops at Hoffenheim, and whether he goes out on next season on another loan, perhaps. But I'd like to see him come through, because it's been great to see Smith Rowe and Iwobi and all these lads come through. It would be great for another one to come through. Let's not forget we pay an absolute fortune on the youth development system. So it would be great if it started to produce more players for us. I think there's a chance for him, but at the moment, no more than that.
Gareth, any thoughts on the wonderful Mr. Reiss Nelson, who, when he did play, he got his chances last season. He didn't really shine for me in any of them. I know he only played a handful, but I wasn't overly. But I knew what he could do from seeing the under 18, under 21, under 23s that played in various competitions.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's done the. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My name just went lighting up in the chat. All right.
Well,
yeah, no, I
think
he's.
Lights, Gav.
I know. Thank you, mate. I think the club have signed him on a new deal, so they've signed him up for another 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. My theory behind that is if he is coming in as a right-sided wide man, and I think again the club have done the best thing for him this year, because we're almost overstocked on that side of the position, that side of the pitch at the moment. But what you've got to look at is in the summer, definitely by the summer, it looks like we're going to lose Ramsey. It looks like Welbeck's on his last year as well, so Welbeck will probably go as well. I don't think Mkhitaryan is having the greatest of times at the moment either. So he's another one of those that I mentioned earlier who really playing for his position. So really, we're losing 3 players that can play on that side of the pitch. If he has it off, as he has at the moment in Germany, and we get him back for us, I mean, Jesus, I mean, can you imagine the uproar that Arsenal buy £20 million, 20-year-old super kid from right winger from Germany? Do you know what I mean? He would be like a, you know, it's all the fashion really at the moment to be buying Germans as well. So
go on, say it like a new signing.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have to pay for him. He's only there on loan. But I get what your point. If we did go and buy a player for, they would probably cost 20 million from a German team. People go, what are you doing that for?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You saw the difference that was Hoffenheim is where Serge Gnabry, where he went and made his name when he signed for Bayern Munich, and they loaned him there for I think 2 seasons, and now look at him, he's starting games and scoring goals for Bayern Munich. So it seems to be the place for players to go and develop. It's just annoying that they're like, I was listening to AC Jimbo's pod, Total Football Show, and they had a German person on there, and they're saying to all the young English players, like the under-21 games, the England under-21, they had loads of German scouts there, and they're saying to them, come and play in the Bundesliga for a season, you'll be starting games. But some people would say the Bundesliga is almost as good as the Premier League, or indeed better technically in some ways. So it's a bit annoying that the players don't get the chance to play over here when the Germans do kind of play similar football to what you'd see in the Premier League. Really interesting, attacking, goal-scoring football. It's not like you're playing in the feeder league or anything, is it?
No.
But
I mean,
it's brilliant seeing it.
You would say you take out the top team out of Germany, then there's really a lot of muchness between the rest of them.
Yeah.
You take out like Munich, who are completely financially head and tails above everybody else. But you look at everybody, look at the rest of them, then there is a muchness about them. It is a competitive league apart from them. So it's only a good thing, really. I mean, like I say, if he ends up this season getting 10, like I say, what's he got now? 3 or 4 goals on it?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, if he ends up on a dozen goals for them this year from right midfield, and then this summer we lose Ramsey, we lose Welbeck, 50-50 on whether Mkhitaryan actually deserves to stay at us, then he's coming back and he's getting a place in the first team squad. He's getting a place on the bench, definitely, and he must be taking. They all must. This is the best thing about Iwobi. Iwobi's a couple of years on them, and they're seeing Iwobi breaking through. They're seeing Iwobi getting regular starts for the first team. That must really, really pump them up. That must tell them that if they're putting in the performance in, they're going to get on the first team, and indeed, they're going to get the big money as well.
Yeah, he's played 4 Bundesliga games and scored 4 goals, and he's played 1 Champions League game. And I'm just keeping an eye on this. As soon as he comes on for Hoffenheim, who have just Kramaric has just scored the Croatian after 47 minutes to make it 2-1 to those. And as soon as he comes on, I'm putting that game on because Juventus are all over Man United. So the gist of that is it's a magnificent loan, and we'll happily take him back. I see him as an Iwobi, left, right, and can play through the middle. So much flexibility. Magnificent. Right. We've been going now for an hour and 20 minutes. Wow. They've only got one answer to the Fifes forum question. Mr. Hoonaholic said, how can we get Aubameyang into the starting 11 more often? And SA says, link him up with Lacazette more often. That seems to be the popular choice anyway. And that's it. You lazy tappy people. Tappy. More interaction.
And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, please.
It's with an hammer, but although it makes no any difference if you subscribe or click the bell and nothing, because people are moaning all over the place. You don't even get notified. Like Ian Lee, when he goes live, I don't get a notification, which is one of the few I've got turned on for that. So, gentleman's nod. David, who have you got?
Oh, blimey. Come back to me in a minute. Go, Gav.
Okay, Gav, who's your gentleman? I've got a list of everybody who donated last night, so it's quite a list. So if you want me to read that list, Gav, while you have a think?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm just getting up the exact. Oh, I can do it. I can do mine now. It's up to you. You go.
Right. I want to say we had 32 individual donations last night. So if you go and listen to the ABW live show with me, John and Jason, I should have said Jason, John and me, then 32 donations. It went absolutely mental. And so here is all the people that donated. Yvonne Okafor. At least I can say Yvonne properly. Jake Taylor, Will O'Brien, Jonas Segnenberg. He did it twice. Kevin Urenda, Nathan Young, J. Rob, Michael Harniman, Mika, Chris Lodato, Matt Sanasi. He's even told me how to spell it. Stephen Edwards, Hattori Hansi, George Constantinu. How did I get that one? The McManus, Alan Willoughby, Daryl Kane made 8 separate donations. You double cheeky monkey. Marquise Hodges, Sean Mersch, Meusch, no idea. Sam Roof twice, Oscar Arias, Dom Nusky, never heard of him, and finally Rob Vape. So thank you very much to everybody. We've got no idea how much we made from that lot, because once YouTube have stolen their 30-40%, whatever it is, then the rest of it we're going to spend on getting these new T-shirts designed for the podcast and making some more of the ABW live T-shirts. So a huge thank you to all of you lot from everybody. But don't do that every show, people, because we can't get the show done. It's an absolute car crash the first 20 minutes. What did you say about it, Gav, when you tried listening to it?
Yeah, I put it on earlier today, and I thought I'll have a listen to that to refresh my mind about the game, sort of thing. Because I know the fellas on there give really, really good in-depth for after the game, and it's normally quite a good giggle as well, especially with Jason there. But I just every time you started talking about the game, that people started donating money, and I'm trying to listen back, and I'm fast forwarding it, and every time I'm fast forwarding it, more people are donating money, and I'm just like. In the end, my little half-hour window of peace and quiet had gone. Do you know what I mean? But it was like well done to everyone. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a cracking show. Do you know what I mean? It's one of, like, obviously I skip in and out and listen to the Bergkamp Wonderland podcasts. But I do try and catch up with the live shows where I can when I'm working during the day and that. And it is a cracking show. So well done everyone for supporting it. Like, hats off to you.
You were there, David. Do you think they were doing it on purpose to be funny?
Very probably.
So if this happened, it's gone.
No, I was just going to say I was chuckling.
Yeah. If something like that happens, and the most we've ever had in a show before is 2 or 3, so I doubt this will ever happen again. But if it does happen, we're going to have something where we're going to go, look, we're going to make a note of everybody who's done it, maybe every 10 or 15 minutes, just do it there and read out what people have put and say thank you, because it does disrupt the flow of the show. And as the show is all about football and having a chat and interaction, and it's not really about making money. But wow, thank you everybody. David, who's your shout? Have you found one?
Yes, your nod. And I shouldn't have needed to look, in all honesty. Paul Foley, son of Theo. Don't know if you've seen on Twitter last week that they've collaborated on a book of Theo's life and career, and it's an absolutely wonderful read. And of course, he was at Arsenal as George Graham's number 2 for the '89 success. So there's a big chunk of Arsenal in there, which is
Theo gives the ball.
That's it. Absolutely. So Paul Foley, I know it was difficult for him as well. So. Definitely look him up at Paul Foley 71.
And maybe
Twitter.
If you can tap him up, you can get him to come on and do a talk about it. Yeah, he followed me on Twitter as well, and I think I followed them back.
That's an idea.
Yes, I know you.
He seems a nice fella.
Yeah, he certainly does.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck.
Right, Gav, what's your shout?
Right,
Nod.
Okay. Yeah, right. With the upcoming remembrance, myself in connection with the newly formed Arsenal Armed Forces Supporters Group, which is at ASC Armed Forces. We produced a little badge pin. We sold a fair few hundred of them, to say the least. And what I'm doing with my half of the profits is going to at Taxi Charity, who take away World War II veterans to not only into Europe, they take them out on day trips. They have lunches with people like Prince Charles and stuff like that. And, like I say, for the last 10 years of my granddad's life, they really treated him well. And they really, really looked after him. So, like I say, my half's going to them. The Arsenal Armed Forces Supporters Club, which is open to all current serving or ex-serving forces. Like I say, they only started in February, but the aim for them really is to start getting together at match days. They have a WhatsApp chat group where they offer support to each other, which, like I say, in this day of PTSD, etc., it's very, very good for the forces to, especially, to talk and to be open with each other, and they can be open with each other with what they're facing on a day-to-day basis. With their half of the money, they're giving it to a charity which is at Care After Combat, and basically they're again another UK registered charity, and what they basically do is a similar thing. They help ex-servicemen that have fallen on hard times, ex-servicemen that may be suffering with drink, alcohol, law problems, homeless problems, etc. So, on behalf of the Arsenal Armed Forces Supporters Club, I'd like to say big thank you to everybody who chips in and bought a badge. The support was absolutely overwhelming, and like I say, a big shout to Chris, who runs the Supporters Club, who's doing a cracking job, and all the lads and ladies there. Like I say, I wish them all the very best for the future. And yeah, that's that. And like I say, again, thank you for everyone who chips in, bought a badge, worked with pride, but obviously also remember to get your poppies off the British Legion. And because like I say, the British Legion do a cracking job. Obviously, we're supporting two branches of armed forces charities that do slightly different work that perhaps the British Legion doesn't completely cover, even though it probably does help them out as the umbrella. But like I say, buy a poppy, support the lads and the ladies. It's without getting too political. It's not about remembering victories. It's remembering people who sacrificed us so that we could speak freely here.
Well said. While we got you, Gav, is there any of your own personal stuff you'd like to promote or tell people where to go, or you have some wonderful things on the go?
Yeah, no, it's I've got a few special things lined up. Follow me at Shiro on Twitter, and stuff will start being revealed very, very shortly. But I'm hoping I'm so close to sorting out a clock watch. I
saw that. Looks very good.
We're down to the finer details on that one. It's a huge investment. It's a lot of money to pay out. But like I say, it is going to be a decent standard watch, and yeah, like I say, look out for that. And I've got a few other bits like mugs, and I've got a nice little leather card holder for your membership cards as well, and little stuff like that. But like I say, my main focus at the moment is trying to get that watch tied down, because it's going to look lovely, and it's something I've personally wanted for about 30 years, and it winds me in that I can only actually buy one for 12 grand if Rolex. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not really a Rolex man, am I? Let's be honest, boys.
More Timex than Rolex. And finally,
harsh.
Last season you sponsored the show quite a bit, and you said you're going to give away a frame shirt. But so if people are wondering what we're going to do with that lot, we are currently, with our YouTube views, we're at 938,000. When that gets to 1 million, we're going to do, I know some people get 1 million views in half an hour, but for us, reaching 1 million views on YouTube is quite a big thing. We've already done it on SoundCloud ages ago, and iTunes, we've already done it. So we're going to do a live show when we get our 1 millionth YouTube view, and then we're going to give away that. You've still got it, have you?
Yeah, Santi Gazzola signed shirt.
There you
go. So you just tell me, Dan. You like I say, if you invite me on the show, even
we
better.
Probably will,
because I was probably on the first one. And like I say, you choose who it goes to, and I'll get it sent out. It'll be all nice and framed up.
Yeah.
Certificate of authenticity with it, etc., etc. So you just give me the nod where and when, Dan.
And if someone outside of the UK wins it, it won't be framed. It'll just be the shirt. And if it gets nicked by the post, tough luck.
Yes, that's the problem. It's because of the glass. If the glass gets broke, they won't ship it. They'll just nick it.
Yeah, that's it.
It's one of those.
Right, so the only other things we need to mention is upcoming shows. This Thursday, Sporting Lisbon v Arsenal. It's 10 minutes after the show. Josh is hosting. Carl and John are on. It said John stroke Danny, so I don't know if that's what John and Jace is expecting us to do, whether it's going to be both of us, whether he's going to touch me inappropriately, who knows. Sunday, it's away at Palace. Again, I think Jason is going to be hosting that one. Whoever is alive is probably going to, because it's a bit of an earlier kickoff. Is it about 12-ish kickoff?
Yeah, I think so, 12:30.
God, good luck with that, gents, because I won't be watching it. And, the only other thing to do is to thank you to... Movember. ABW will be doing a Movember. That's a little bit hard considering 6 of us already have full moustaches. Are you doing something, David?
No, I'm giving it a rest this year because everybody was so generous to me last year. I think I got 1,400 quid for Movember last year.
Well done.
It was absolutely fantastic. And no, well, have a year off because you don't want to keep on going to the well, do you?
Yeah,
I don't think it's fair.
You can't. You've got to shave the beard off. You've just got to keep the moustache.
No, I'm not doing any of it. I'm not going to shave my beard off. I look like Matt Lucas if I shave my beard off. And no one needs 2 Matt Lucas eyes. So Ellis is organising it, and all the money we make from the YouTube, which is maybe $3 or $4 per show, and all the money from donations, all donations during the shows, every single penny we make, we're going to total it all up, and then 50% of it we're giving it to men's mental health, and 50% of it we're giving to the Movember. I think it's prostate, isn't it? Are you clapping?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clapping, yeah.
Oh, well done. It sounds like you were struggling to catch hold of a live fish. So we're going to do all that. But Ellis is going to sort all that lot out. And we might even, if you send pictures in at the start of Movember, with you freshly shaven, and then at the end of Movember, then we might even have a page on the website dedicated to the people that do it and show your progress picture by picture. I say that's a maybe, because that would be down to me to do it, and I've got enough stuff to do. But it's a very good cause, and it affects so many people that are near and dear to us. So, yeah, we will definitely be doing it this year. And that's all I have to do now is thank my wonderful guests. Thank you very much, David, for joining us. You've been splendid as always.
Thank you for inviting me again, mate. It's been good.
Jolly good. And thank you very much to Gav, Mr. Strutter himself. It's been a while, and I think the next time you'll be back on is probably for the book review once I've read that book, because I've only just started it. I say I've started it. I've looked at the front cover, but Mark was telling me off. Mark and Randy were telling me off last night for not. He said, "You've had it for 3 months. Read it."
It ain't got enough pictures for you, has it, Dan? That's the problem.
I know it's not right. Have you read it yet?
Yeah. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. I'm like I say, hands up. I'm not the greatest reader in the world due to my dyslexia and stuff. So anything that's sort of once I get past 10 or 15 minutes of reading something, I'm done. I can't read it anymore. So I'm not the greatest reader of the world. I wish I was.
My eyes wobble from side to side, and I struggle keeping it on the line that I'm reading, and then I start to get bored and my mind wanders. So I'm waiting for your book. That's what I want.
And you don't want to go where Danny's mind wanders, let me tell you.
A world of skips and pops up.
In the words of Jeremy Clarkson, on that bombshell, this has been a Bergkamp Wonderland. Much like the Borg, we are Arsenal. Good night.
Get down, dog.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to part 2, the bit where I ramble on about nonsense that most people don't care about. So there's been very few people that have hung around for this, but I'll get on with it anyway. So we start off with the Arsenal ladies, who are in reclaiming the kind of glory that we had back in the days we do back-to-back doubles. We went to current Women's Super League champions Chelsea, and we smashed them 5-0 at their place, which is absolutely magnificent. Kim Little got a penalty, Maidema scored, then Nobbs scored, then Maidema again, and then Nobbs scored again. Wow, fantastic. The amount of goals that our Dutch trio of Van der Donk and Bloodworth and Maidema, I'm sure that's how you say it, And I'm sure that I read that the coach, Montemeru, I'm sure I read somewhere that he has agreed to sign a new contract, which is definitely good, because I did not expect them to do as good as they are doing at the moment. That was on where's the date on this? The 14th of October. I think we may well have covered it, or we were on the international break. I'm not sure. Anyway, on the 21st of October, which was only, what day is it today? It was the 23rd. So on Sunday, we were Reading with the visitors to Arsenal. Madima scored, Nobbs scored, Mead scored, Madima scored, Van der Donk scored, Madima scored. So Madima got another hat. I hope I'm saying her name right. Got another hat trick as we smashed Reading 6-0. So that's another magnificent back-to-back run. We are now top of the Women's Premier League, 1 point clear of Man City. We have one game in hand. Our goal we've played 5-1-5, scored 27 and conceded 3. A goal difference of plus 24 after only 5 games. Top goal scorer in the league is Madima with 9 goals in 5 games. And one of those games she didn't even score a goal. So that's fantastic. And what have we got? Don't really care about any of those other lot. And then the top goal scorers, is it Jordan Nobbs? Yep, she is in 4th place with 5 goals. Kim Little in 5th place with 4 goals, and Van der Vonk in 6th place or 5th place equal with 4 goals as well. They are doing absolutely fantastically. So that's good to see. Next on, we move on to the Arsenal under-23s. Everton were the visitors on the 22nd of October, which I think was yesterday. I'm no member. I'm no good at remembering the date. So they came to us. We drew 0-0. Iliev in goal. Julio, unpronounceable, playing as a centre back. Doesn't say who the captain was. Bola Ballard, Omoli. I'm not even going to try to read these out. There's lots of players with the letter O. I wonder if that means anything. Eddie Nketiah scored and played. He hasn't scored much this season. 18-19. He has scored 4 goals in 5 games. So where has he scored all the others? 2 v West Ham, 1 v Coventry in the league. What's it called? The EFT. What does that mean? EFL Trophy. Don't know what that stands for. And then he scored 2 goals against Liverpool as we beat them 4-0. I didn't know we beat them 4-0. Did I talk about that? That's in September. So long ago, I've probably completely forgotten. And then, so in the under-23 league, everyone's played 8 games. Everton are top. We're on 15 points, the same as Everton, but they've got a goal difference of plus 10. Ours is plus 6. And then in 3rd place, it's Chelsea. 4th place, it's Derby. And top goal scorer in that league is a bloke at Brighton called Honnelly. Where's our top scorer? Eddie Nketiah on with 4 goals. He's in about 5th place. So that's good. Their next game is away at Swansea this Friday, so pop along if you can. Next game is the under-18s. We played them in the under-18 Premier League, played Reading again, smashed them 4-0. Balogun scored a hat-trick. So what's his first name? His first name is Following Jerry Balogun. Brilliant. So how many goals has he got this season then? He says to himself while he's clicking on a button. 8 goals in 6 games for the under-23s and for the under-18s, and 1 goal in no, that was last season. Bloody hell, 8 in 6. That's magical. So in that league now, I've gone forward on a page, haven't I? That's annoying. Or have I put it on the next? Oh, so organised, already had it there. In the under-18s league, Spurs are the top with 22 points. We're second with 21 points. They must be using all their overage players, because in 8 games, Spurs scored 41 goals. We've scored 26. Chelsea have scored 18. Leicester have scored 10. So after 8 games, Spurs' goal difference is plus 32. How the hell are they doing that? We've got top goal scorer is Balogun for us with 8 goals, and they've got a bloke called Parrott on 7 goals. How old is he? He's only 16. Wow. Who cares? Right, so that's the under-18s done. Is that still recording? Yeah, it's 5 minutes. Get on with it, Sweetman. The next one is the under-18s. We played in the FA Youth Cup. We beat Sheffield Wednesday. They came to us. We beat them 2-1. How do you say this bit? Xavier Amaichi, some combination of that. He scored in the 16th and the 33rd minute. They scored an 86th minute. I suppose you used the word consolation. That was Kwame Ampadu was the man. Oh, this is soccer way. Kwame Ampadu was probably gone by then. No, it's 13th of December. What? 13th of December, 2017. People, forget what I've just said. I should have realised because you've got João Virginia in goal and he's at Everton now. What a waste of time that was. I wondered why we were playing in the FA Youth Cup so early. And what's the final one I'm going to do here is the EFL Trophy. We played against Everton and beat Everton, played against Coventry and beat those 3-0 in the 12th of September. And you'd have thought these games would be thick and fast, but they're not. The next game is the 30th of October. So that's going to be 4, 5, 6 weeks between games. So that is 30th. When's the 30th? That is a week today. So that's a week Tuesday. And we are going to Cheltenham Town to play them. And Cheltenham Town are currently 22nd in League 2. 2 places above the automatic relegation zone. So they are rubbish. Hopefully we'll go there. Their stadium is called the Johnny Rock Stadium. Oh, that's very nice, isn't it? Yeah, they're shit. They are doing absolutely awful. Who's their manager? Duff. McDuff? Does he make beer? No, Michael Duff. Never heard of him. So the next bit to do is the George Birds Roundup. Remember, go to arsenalyouth.wordpress.com, or you can go and follow George Bird on Twitter. That's JeorgeBird for all of your youth roundup stuff. He says, Reiss Nelson scored a brace before being taken off in the 70th minute as Hoffenheim beat Nuremberg 3-1. Nuremberg? Yeah. Oh, no, it's Nürburgring is the car one. Beat them 3-1. Christian Bielik started at centre-back and played 82 minutes as Charlton Athletic beat Barnsley 2-0. Callum Chambers, oh, jeez, did anyone see Callum Chambers play? Oh, not good. Callum Chambers started at right-back but was soon booked before being taken off at half-time as Fulham lost 4-2 to Cardiff. Oh, we shouldn't laugh at one of our own, should we? But, it seems Wenger didn't fancy him, and it seems that Emery, I'm having a bit of a stretch. I've been sat here for 2 hours doing this stuff, and Emery doesn't fancy him either, and he's having a bit of a nightmare at Fulham. But Fulham are a bit shit. Matt Macy played the entirety of Plymouth Argyle's 3-2 loss to Burton Albion. David Ospina was an unused substitute as Napoli beat Udinese 3-0. Takuma Asano, the mystery man, was an unused substitute as Hanover drew 2-2 with Bayer Leverkusen. Kelechi Nwakali wasn't involved. Of course he wasn't involved. What a fucking pointless move. I'm swearing. What a terrible move that was. Porto lost to 2-1 to Varzim. I'm going to go and have a look and see how bad they're doing. You're not going in. Are you going anywhere? No? Nobody mind if I carry on? Oakley dokley. Teams. I'm going to go to competitions, and then I'm going to go to Primera League, and then I'm going to click on Segunda League. My cat Lily's having you washing your bum, Lily? Lovely. Right, Karen. I've got to hurry up because the Ian Lee show starts in 17 minutes. That's Ian Lee on Talk Radio, people. Him and Kath every night, 10 p.m. till 1 a.m. The best show on radio now that Ian Collins doesn't do radio. Sporting, where's he at? Which club is he at? Porto. FC Porto, we did this last time, in the second division in Portugal, played 7 games. They've won 1, drawn 1, lost 5, scored 5, conceded 14. They are rock bottom. Is there a Division 3? Can they go? There is a Division 3. They are in the relegation positions. Oh dear. It's not as even if it's a tough league. You've got no decent teams in there, apart from the mighty Penafiel who are 8th. But other than that, there's no one there. That's a disastrous low. Need to knock that on the head as soon as possible. That is it. That is all that George has wrote. So the only other thing to do now is to go and do the injuries roundup. Monreal had a tight hamstring, and so he should be back for the next game. Kolasinac had a tight hamstring. Oh, maybe he's catching. He will be back for the next game. Sokpap, ankle injury, should be back the 25th of October, and that will be this Thursday. No, don't bring him back for that game. Save him for Sunday. Petr Cech is going to be hamstring injury. Is going to be back on the 28th of October, and that is going to be Sunday. I think they line this up so the date is going to be whatever game they could be back for, because that's Crystal Palace. Mavropanos, groin strain, should be back at the middle of November. And Lauren Koscielny, just saw a really nice interview with him. Didn't understand a word of what they were saying, I think. Was it in French? Might well have been. Ankle Achilles injury, should be back at the end of November. So that's all there is. Just go and have a look and see if Reiss Nelson has come on for Hoffenheim yet. I had that page open, but I think I closed it in my panic to get all the right things up. Hoffenheim, they were 2-1 up. Now Lyon are beating them 3-2. Have you brought on? No, they've not brought him on. They've brought everybody on but him. Have they? Oh, no, they've put on the left-hand side. It shows who they've taken off. Yes, Reiss Nelson, 86th minute. I'm going to go and find the game. You're not doing anything, are you still? No. So there you go. Hoffenheim v Lyon. See if anything happens in the last few minutes. Yes, on the left-hand side on who scored, it tells you the players that have come off. Normally it would tell you the players who have come on. So it looks like Reiss Nelson came on in the 70th. I've been chatting to you lot, and I could have been watching Reiss Nelson playing for Hoffenheim. Memphis Depay. You know, I mean, the Man United reject doing wonders at Lyon. He scored the third goal to go 3-2 up. And is that our Reiss? I can't remember what he looks like. Has he got a bit of a ginger hair at the top? Oh, they've got a free kick on the edge of the Lyon box. No, that wasn't him. That was Joelton. Is that even a word? It's Joelton. So where's Reiss then? He's going to be on there somewhere. Oh, there's a bit of arguing going on. That bloke looks like Samuel Eto'o. Who is he? Has Eto'o changed clubs? Is he there? No, he wouldn't have gone there, would he? Oh, had a header from the captain. Went a little bit wide. Oh. Shall I carry on watching this? You running bad commentary because I've got no idea who's who. You'd have thought that Reiss Nelson would have been somewhere up near the front, wouldn't you? Lyon are playing in yellow. Orange? I don't know. No, yeah, they're playing in orange. Well, the goalkeeper's not very happy. Who was the bloke who missed it? It was their captain. So that's going to be Vogt. People need to learn how to spell their names probably so I can pronounce them. Another attack. Oh, now the goalkeeper's caught it. Come on, Reiss. This isn't working, is it? I should really go. Nothing else to say. Betty, you got anything to say? Meow. Lily's having a wash. I think Dora's. Don't know where Dora is. What are you doing, Bergie? Bergie's sitting by the cat flap, watching outside. So there you go. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I don't think there's any extras to put in this show because nothing really happened. Maybe the little bit at the end of the show. Yeah, I'll put that bit in. Right, people, thank you very much for listening. That has just wasted 14 minutes of your life. Sorry about that, and I will see you later. Danu. And here's some more shenanigans after the podcast ended. Much like the Borg, we are Arsenal. Good night.
Get down, dog.
Una Remy's Venom Army, Una Remy's Venom Army, Una Remy's Venom Army, Una Remy's Venom Army, Una Remy's Venom Army.
Don't, because you'll just do that and see how long I'll put up with it for, won't you?
Una Remy's Venom Army, Una Remy's Venom Army.
I remember someone sent me a message saying, I love the bit where Gav was trying to get you to stay, and you said, one more question, one more, just one more question. Right, if you need to go, gents, feel free. I've got to do the I haven't got to do, I'm going to do the other part of the show, part 2, and I should do that on my own because no doubt you've got stuff to do.
Good man, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
look at that. Pleasure.
And you, matey. Look after yourself, David, all right?
You too, buddy. Take care.
Mate. Speak to you soon.
You too. See you
Take
later.
care, Dan. Right. How do I turn this off?